Hey guys, Solomon here. If this video ever makes it to the light of day, I want you to know that it was inspired by Psych Substance. I've been watching Psych Substance for many years now, and he taught me how to do proper practices for drug use, for testing what you guys have, and stuff like that. So I thought maybe I should record myself taking some LSD today. So I guess the video will just be here for me to document myself as I continue to go through this experience. And then I can review it later, and it might never see the light of day anywhere. But I took video of myself when I took mushrooms the last time, and that was really interesting to look back on. It was a very healing experience. But for today, I have a tab of acid that a friend gave me, and I have the night to myself. Initially I wanted this friend to trip sit for me, to kind of be there with me while I took it, but I really wanted to take it this month before my new roommate moves in. And the rest of this week I have just work every night, but not tonight. Tonight's the only night this week I don't work. And then after that, my roommate's moving in, and my sister is going to be here, and we're going to have a full house. So my sister being out of town, it's the only time I really can practically do this. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna take it, and we're gonna see where it goes. And I got the party frog. No one knows the party frog's name. I may have named him before, but then forgotten it. See, the party frog's an enigma. He is whoever he needs to be for the party. He's a follower of Dionysus. He's nothing but chaos and just pure like love and ecstasy. And yeah, I mean, this guy knows how to throw a party, and so whenever this guy is here, we know we're gonna have a good time. So what is his name? No one knows, and maybe we shouldn't know. You know? Okay, I will get back to you when I take the tab. Okay, guess we're gonna do it on camera. And until the paper dissolves, I'm gonna eat the paper, and then I'm gonna lick the inside of this tinfoil. Okay, I took it at about 8:09, like 8:10-ish. So an hour come up, and then 12 hours possibly of tripping. And so I guess I have to prepare for that. I don't expect to get a lot of sleep tonight, but yeah, I mean, my past experiences with acid are as follows. I've had really good experiences. I've taken like just up to like 2 tabs. I've never taken a high dose on LSD. I've taken it with friends. The first time I ever took it, I took it with a group of my friends when we were living out in Larrabee. I was like 19, and it was a fun time. We were like watching all of the patterns on things shift around and change. And my girlfriend at the time came over, and she wasn't super supportive of me doing these drugs, but she kind of came around after she stopped being mad at me, and we hung out after the fact. But it was a really good night. I've also experienced what I feel is like maybe like a tolerance, like a natural tolerance to LSD, where I've taken the same tabs as my friends, and like they're coming up, and they start tripping really hard, and then I was, well, this is one time at least, that I was sitting there kind of waiting for like 2 hours, now 3 hours, and I'm like not really feeling it like as strongly as my friends were, where I was like feeling kind of a buzz, but not feeling this like full trip effect, like where I'm peaking. And so I feel as though I might need to take 2 or 3. With the acid these days, you don't really know how much you're taking. The acid in modern day is sort of less powerful than it used to be in like the 70s. Not that the substance has gotten less powerful, but just that people don't, they're kind of cheap, I guess, and they don't really put the quantity on there as on the paper, on the blotter paper, as uh as much as they used to. And the quality is just questionable on this tab. I don't know if I'm going to feel anything, if I'm going to feel a lot. um it's just kind of the mystery of taking these kind of substances when they're not regulated properly. Obviously, this substance I wouldn't recommend anybody do because it's breaking the law. However, um, on the level of, if you're curious and you're responsible and you can make your own choices, then and you want to play with your mind and you want to see what your mind is capable of, then acid is something that can do that for you. I know a lot of people don't really feel like they want to take it anymore because they've had some bad experience, and but on very low moderate doses it's very unlikely for you to have a negative experience unless you're in some setting that is unsafe. So there's that. um there's not much else to say, I guess. I guess I'll wait and I'll tell you guys in an hour, see if I'm feeling any different than I am now. Okay. And while I wait, I have just gone ahead and cut up some melons. I went to the store and got myself fruit, and I got some grapes. And so, yeah, that's basically that. It's always a good idea to get fruit for your LSD trip. That's my opinion. It's just really nice to have. And I had about my last $8-9 cash. I just went to the store and used it on fruit because you're gonna want to snack on something. And I mean, your own personal watermelon, like, come on, that's what's better than that? Like, there's no one here I can just like launch. So yeah, we got dinner sorted, and my sister was gracious enough to leave some of the soup she cooked in the fridge for me, so I'm gonna eat that later as well. So that's the plan. And maybe I'll watch a movie or something and wait for myself to come up. I don't know. It's just a waiting game, and I'm excited and a little nervous, but it's just one tab, and so I should be fine. And I've sit for myself before, trip sit for myself. When I took mushrooms, I basically decided that I'm the only one that I trust to watch myself while I attempted a heroic dose. I failed at taking a heroic dose because I didn't have a scale at the time. But I was growing my own mushrooms, and I just took as many as I had at the time. So I was like, all right, if there was the maximum amount I could take, basically. So I ended up having probably the equivalent to like 3.5 grams dried, but it was not dried, it was wet, like mushrooms, like just fresh. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say exactly how much I took, but it was pretty strong. But yeah, so this time should be less, depending on how much is on the tab, and if there's been any kind of degrading going on from like temperature swings and stuff like that, and from us exposing it to light when we're looking at it, then it depends on it may be. I'm expecting it to be less strong of an experience as that experience. But I guess you can't really test the psychedelic gods, though, or else they'll strike you down. So we're just gonna have to see what fate has in store for me. Yeah. All right, it's an hour in, and I'll try to not to let the chair squeak anymore. There we go. We're an hour in, and I definitely have the come up. I had a little bit of come up anxiety. I am wrapped in blankets because I'm getting that little bit of like chills, and like you're cold and you're warm at the same time, and it's like your body's like readjusting to the new tactile sensations and the new input of sensations. And I definitely feel like sort of slightly euphoric, possibly. And I'm watching Megamind, and I'm eating grapes. You can see Megamind right here. And grapes. But yeah, I think things are going well. Definitely don't really have any visuals at this point that I can tell. I'm looking at the ceiling. That's always my best indicator, seems like. But this ceiling isn't like a popcorn ceiling, so it's a little bit harder to see the patterns. But so far, just not a lot of visuals, just kind of the mental arena. But we'll continue to see. I think I'll peak around 2 hours in. I think is the 2 or 3 hours. Excuse me, is like the standard amount of time. So I guess we'll see, and I'll just keep watching Megamind until then, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe watch more funny movies. We'll see. Bye. Phantom of the Opera. For the peace, nobody's gonna stop you. Stay in the cut, John Deere. Vincent Van Gogh headphone on one ear. Hi guys. If you can't tell, guys, I'm having fun. Yeah, my camera has a crack right through the front facing camera. So it has fun lens flare effects. Here's how I'm feeling about 2 hours into the experience, about 10:20 right now. And I'm getting that kind of, I'm hot and I'm cold. And I'm dancing around, so I'm actually hot right now. And the slurred speech you can hear. It's like being drunk, kind of. Trying to perform for a camera is not the move, but it's fine. And I'm just having a good time vibing to the music. You know, you can really change the vibe completely by just standing up and dancing. Or you can just lay down and just like zone the fuck out. Then you might start getting in your own head and just like going into some weird places, some fearful places. But that's just how everybody's mind works, and it's just the habits of your own mind. So, but I was laying there and I was using some mindfulness techniques, right? I just did my fucking meditation group earlier. I'm so grateful for those fuckers. I love them. And so that really grounded me earlier, and you know, I practiced just laying over there and just feeling everything that I'm feeling, just trying to relax into it. Because your body is sort of like, you're reacting to these new sensations. It's not used to being in like all thrown out of whack like this. So it's like, am I in danger? Like, what's going on? And it's like, no, you're just tripping. You're just having a good time. Chill out. So that's as coherent of thoughts as I'm going to get on this take. I'm going to come back with another take too. Okay. With water in hand. Visual effects. More strong than, more pronounced than they were earlier. I can see patterns on the floor. Mostly just the carpet though. So I'm seeing the carpet and it sort of has a sort of shifting texture. Sort of amorphous, you know, it's just like the shadows and the stains or whatever just playing with your eyes. But yeah, I mean, just your standard LSD visuals on the ground. Not too strong, not too weak either. My eyes aren't even particularly wide, are they? Maybe they are. So visual effects, not super strong. My fucking universe isn't melting into like geometry and love and light, but you can really see how reality gets slippery with this stuff, and it's really hard to fucking put language together, let alone put your experience into words. So we're gonna attempt it. So many times I'm on substances that I look up at the sky or I look up at the ceiling and I see how wiggly it is, and I'm like, is it always wiggly? And I'm just seeing it now. I think that's the thought that crosses every tripper's mind when they're looking up at a popcorn ceiling and they can feel the weight of reality kind of, and like the oddness of it, the strangeness of it, the predicament of it, the fucking circumstances we all find ourselves in. And they look at, and they just look out at the world like, there's so much more to this I don't know about. What is the mystery of life? I was thinking about the nature of consciousness recently because, it's what I do from time to time. It's, can a guy have a hobby? Premonition dreams. I don't think I've been lucky enough to have a premonition dream, but I'll tell you what got me interested in the topic of premonition dreams. It was actually Joe Rogan podcast, which is weird enough. I don't listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. Don't get it twisted, guys. Come on. But I do listen to a guy named Paul Stamets, who's a mycologist. And his first episode on the Joe Rogan podcast was like mind-blowingly good. Where he's just such a wealth of information. He just fucking lays out everything he knows about fucking mushrooms, medicinal or otherwise. And it's just beautiful. Okay, I got interrupted last time. But what we were talking about was the nature of consciousness, right? What is this shit? What is going on with this weird circumstance of life that we find ourselves with on this planet? And I've been particularly interested recently with this idea of telepathy and premonition dreams. So this is not exactly a new phenomenon, if you believe in such a thing. But if you believe in such a thing, then this history extends back thousands and thousands of years, maybe even predating our humanness. As just chimpanzees. So if the nature of consciousness is like that, consciousness is coming from outside and is coming into our brains like a radio receiver, like so many people have believed over the years. I'm forgetting the names of the author. God, Doors of Perception guy. He believed that. Okay, but if that's true, then it unlocks a lot of possibilities, right? Whew, I cannot be coherent right now. Effects of LSD makes you think that you can talk about philosophical topics while you absolutely cannot. Everything to keep it together is falling apart. I got this thing that I consider my only art of fucking people over. Well, I'd love to see them try, put it all in words, and sing it all in tune. There's no one else who could. The only one is you. Okay, this is my lesson that's probably the deepest from this experience that I'm experiencing so far. You're allowed to feel joy. Joy is an act of resistance. Just echoing words that I've heard elsewhere, but it's an important message. You're allowed to feel joy. It's fucking beautiful. Okay, it's 12 o'clock, so I'm testing my coherence as compared to previous hours in which I was blabbling incoherently, slurring my words, dancing like a maniac, and generally just, I don't even know, just reeling. I'm feeling like I did peak, and maybe this is the come down. It is about. So yeah, it's maybe the come down. I'm just kind of watching TV and looking at my phone, and was kind of dreading looking at my reels because of my coworker who has been sending me racist reels. But we forgive him. We love him anyway. And we send him our socialist reels, and it's all good. And then we send memes, and we'll talk about it. Well, it'll all work out, in the end, at the end of the day. So yeah, that's it. Goodbye.
Hello, my fellow psychonauts that I hope I have enticed to watching the video all the way through. I hope you enjoyed watching me trip on LSD. And here at the end of the video, I just want to clarify a few things and talk about psychedelics a little bit more clear-mindedly than I could when I was under the influence. So I don't think I made it very clear, and I didn't articulate myself very well when I was talking about my interest in premonition dreams and telepathy. So now, my belief in those things varies over time and varies depending on the person telling me the story. But in general, I've heard a little bit too many stories, a few too many stories of people in my real life and on the internet and wherever, uh, of people dreaming of something in advance and then it coming true and happening in real life. And there are various explanations for that and different cognitive biases that we have that can explain away many of these so called premonition dream experiences. And some others I think are just not super explainable away. It's not so easily dismissed by the common paradigms of science that we currently use. So it's just an interesting topic that deserves a video of its own. And telepathy, same thing. I think there's less of a belief there for me when it comes to the viability of, reading other people's thoughts. But there is something to be said about people's experiences with that as well. There's an interesting podcast out there called the Telepathy Tapes, all about nonverbal, many times autistic children, not always autistic, but all of them nonverbal. Uh, and these specific group that seem to be able to have telepathy with some of their caregivers, like teachers, parents, mothers, fathers. Um, I'll just leave it there and you can go investigate that yourself. It goes into some pretty strange esoteric territory the more you listen to the podcast. And so take everything that they're saying, obviously, with a grain of salt. But all that to say that consciousness is a mystery, which um, we have not solved yet. And just because, even if these things were real, even if they are real, they may be real, doesn't mean that they're magic. It could mean that they're magic, but it doesn't mean that it has to be outside of the realm of science and can't possibly come into an understanding of science. Like we can't come into an understanding of it with scientific methods somehow one day. I just think that there's these little clues that the universe is leaving us to to underlying realities that we're not quite fully understanding here. Um, Secondly, I just want to recommend The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. It's the book I mentioned. This is about his mescaline trip. It's like basically a really well written trip report because he was such a good writer. But maybe not your typical trip report that you might read on Eurowid.com or whatever. I picked that up after I read Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, which is also a 4-part documentary series on Netflix. So you can skip reading the book if you want and just go straight to that. But it covers LSD, psilocybin, MDMA, and mescaline, the history of all of them respectively, and the efforts by activists and people inside of the FDA and whatnot to get these psychedelics to a more legal status and a place in medicine for the modern person. Last thing I'll say is we're almost at 50 subscribers, guys. Smash the subscribe button. Get us to 50 subscribers. And hopefully I'll be back on here with more videos for you in the future. I'm also going to start posting on Substack, which I'll link in the description down below and in my YouTube bio. Substack is a platform where people kind of post whatever. It's almost kind of like Instagram or something. Excuse me. Or like Twitter. But I think it sort of angles itself as more of a professional platform for politics and podcasts and it's sort of like a subscriber based model as well for people that want to pay a little bit extra to get perks. So it's like Patreon. But yeah, I'm gonna make everything free for now until we hit hundreds and thousands of subscribers. Then maybe I'll put a paid stuff on there. But obviously, I don't know how much I'm gonna be posting on there. But the idea is that I'm going to be writing a little bit of opinion pieces, a little bit of extra content, a little bit extra of my thoughts, just to be able to express them somewhere and to practice my writing skills and post them in correlation with the videos that I'm posting here on YouTube. So check that out, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. This has been Solomon from the Progressive West, signing off.